The film begins by introducing the main character, John, who is in a conversation with his psychiatrist about his mental condition. Their discussion reveals that John used to be a special forces officer but has since retired, spending a lot of time alone. At the psychiatrist's suggestion, John decides to visit his daughter and granddaughter in the UK to improve his mental health. It becomes apparent that he hasn't seen his daughter in a long time. Upon arriving home, John starts packing his things to prepare for his trip to the UK. The scene then shifts to John's daughter, Jane, who leads a simple life with her child. Jane works as a cleaning service employee at a company, while her child attends school near their apartment. Despite her busy daily routine, she handles everything gracefully, knowing that her life will eventually improve. Simultaneously, there's a gangster named Samiti who visits a drug dealer to inquire about ordering illegal goods for their gang. Samiti is trying to establish a regular customer relationship with the dealer. Returning to John, he has now arrived in the UK to reunite with his family. Before meeting them, he contacts his old friend, Neil, who is now a colonel, and they plan to meet soon. John pays a visit to his wife's grave and makes a promise to always protect their daughter. Meanwhile, Samiti and his gang are still searching for their rival drug dealer. When they locate the dealer, Samiti swiftly eliminates him to eliminate the competition. By coincidence, John crosses paths with Samiti and his gang. Some of Samiti's men follow John, unaware that he is a former soldier experienced in handling such situations. After escaping and neutralizing the gang members who pursued him, John becomes a target of Samiti's revenge. Upon reaching Jane's flat, John receives a warm welcome from his daughter, who hasn't seen him in a long time. John reassures Jane that he will never leave her alone again. The next day, he takes his granddaughter to school and later buys groceries to cook at home. Unbeknownst to John, several gangsters are trailing him as he returns to his flat. The gangsters report John's whereabouts to Samiti, who is waiting nearby. Samiti pays the gangsters with drugs, and they enjoy their reward together. During lunch, John mentions that he will be away for a few days on duty, leaving Jane visibly saddened. Meanwhile, John gave his granddaughter a pendant as a keepsake to remember him and her late grandmother. Jane, fearing that she might be left alone again, asked John to promise that he would stay safe for the sake of their family. While monitoring John's departure, Samiti decided to devastate John's life by targeting his family. Samiti and his gang easily entered their flat, subjecting Jane to torture and abuse. Disturbingly, Samiti entered Jane's daughter's room and committed heinous acts, recording the brutality inflicted on John's family. During this ordeal, Samiti discovered that John was not an ordinary man, as he saw a photo of John in a special army uniform. One night, Colonel Neil visited John and took him somewhere, revealing the horrifying truth about what had happened. John's anguish continued when he was taken to see his late granddaughter. Filled with rage, John demanded to know who had harmed his family. Jane revealed that the gangster ruling their flat was responsible. Without hesitation, John embarked on a mission to settle the vendetta that had consumed him. Meanwhile, Samiti felt that his existence was under threat and asked one of his men to temporarily oversee the flat's territory while he planned his escape. John went to Jane's flat to investigate the crime scene that the police had failed to properly address. There, he encountered a seemingly uncooperative police officer. Fortunately, upon leaving the flat, John crossed paths with one of Samiti's henchmen. In this encounter, John inquired about Samiti's base camp, and due to the henchman's fear, the hiding place in a nightclub was easily divulged. Now at Samiti's base camp, John confronted Cooper, Samiti's boss and the top drug dealer in the area. Despite Cooper's pleas and claims that he never ordered Samiti to harm John's family, John showed no mercy to those who had hurt his loved ones.
Yes, you did.
Shortly after the incident, the police arrived at the nightclub to assess the aftermath of John's actions. The head of police, named Bambi, contacted Colonel Neil to learn more about John. Colonel Neil described John as a dangerous killing machine, expressing doubts about the police's ability to handle him. On the other hand, Samiti received a call from Cooper's phone, which was now in John's possession. John warned Samiti that danger was imminent, but Samiti remained undeterred. Samiti then reached out to an assassin named Penkor, proposing a partnership to establish a new venture. Penkor refused Samiti's offer because he was aware that Samiti was being pursued by a highly dangerous killer. Samiti, displaying cunning and intelligence, anticipated that John would track him through the GPS on his phone. To divert John's attention, he left his phone at Penkor's location, luring John there. Before departing Penkor's place, Samiti tasked some of his men with keeping watch over the area. As expected, John arrived at Penkor's location, believing Samiti to be present. Without hesitation, John initiated a violent confrontation, living up to the film's title. Following the bloodshed, John encountered one of Sumiti's men, who had been assigned to monitor the area. John apprehended and confined the man in a warehouse for interrogation. There, the captive divulged critical information about Sumiti's plan. It emerged that Sumiti intended to betray his boss and establish his own drug empire. To eliminate any potential witnesses, he sought to eliminate John, who had unwittingly uncovered his plot. Meanwhile, Sumiti met with his new Russian distributor to discuss a shipment of goods. Unbeknownst to him, John covertly infiltrated the scene, alerting the police to Sumiti's presence. John also released the captive man he had interrogated, using him as a terrifying harbinger of the impending retribution he would deliver. Realizing that John had come to exact revenge, Sumiti attempted to flee, shielded by his henchmen. However, John swiftly incapacitated them, thwarting their attempts to protect Sumiti. The police arrived to assist John in apprehending Sumiti, but John insisted on a one-on-one showdown with the man who had inflicted harm upon his family. During the confrontation, Sumiti revealed that he had taken the pendant John had given to his granddaughter as a macabre memento to savor the satisfaction he felt after harming a child. In the end, John managed to defeat Sumiti and surrendered himself for arrest by Bambi. Colonel Neil bid farewell to John, secretly providing him with the means to escape from the police handcuffs. The film concludes by portraying Jane's contentment as she hears her father's voice on the phone, understanding that John has achieved vengeance against Sumiti. After inquiring about his daughter's well-being, John hangs up the phone, disappearing from view.